a minimum of 5 games. The Nets have released this statement. In such statement says, quote, "We are dismayed today when given an opportunity in a media session that KYRIE refused to unequivocally say he has no anti-Semitic beliefs nor acknowledge specific hateful material in the film." In statement regarding the recent off-the-court Kyrie Irving situation, this that you see right now is an abridged version of that, saying, quote, "Kyrie Irving made a reckless decision to post a link to a film containing deeply offensive anti-Semitic material. I am disappointed that he has not offered an unqualified apology and more specifically denounced the vile and harmful content contained in the film he chose to publicize. I will be meeting with Kyrie in person in the next week to discuss this situation." Well, that's the end of the quote. Kyrie Irving had this to say to SNY this afternoon.
Again, I'm going to repeat. I don't know how the label becomes justified because you guys ask me the same questions over and over again. But this is not going to turn into a spin around cycle of questions upon questions. I told you guys how I felt. I respect all walks of life and embrace all walks of life. That's where I sit.
I think what people want to hear, though, is just a yes or no on that question.
Chuckster, and I think when this news started hitting, we were like, I knew this is going to be your first of all, but this whole Kyrie Irving situation that we've seen in Brooklyn.
Yeah. The Kanye West situation.
Yeah, and
obviously people know that my daughter's married to a Jewish guy.
Yeah.
So it's personal for me, and I just wanted to address it because it's like when something happened to a black person. I feel that anger and pain, but I wanted to talk to somebody, number one, Jewish, who's a lot smarter than us on this subject. And I said, "Ernie, we need a rabbi." And you says, "I got a great one."
I got your guy. Yeah, because I was on his podcast, Rabbi Erez Sherman from Sinai Temple in Los Angeles. The Rabbi on the Sidelines is his podcast. And we had a wonderful conversation, really deep into a lot of things. And it was just awesome. And so when you said, you know what? We need to talk to a rabbi about this, he was the perfect choice. So we welcome him to the steam room. Rabbi, thank you. Appreciate you on short notice making time for us. We really do appreciate it.
My question is, have you seen this movie?
We're talking Hebrews to Negroes Wake Up Black America is the documentary, and that's the link to that is what Kyrie put on social media last week, and certainly anti-Semitic in its content, and then Kyrie trying to defend that and saying he's not. But to Chuck's point, from a distance, as you watched this play out, Rabbi, first thing that hit you?
First thing is to call out hate. Charles, as you said, your own daughter's married to somebody Jewish, and it hurts. It hurts not just in the mind, but it hurts in the heart and the soul. So to be able to call out hate is number one. We can all have conversations about race and religion, but in the sports world, there's out of bounds. And in the faith world, there is also out of bounds. And so that's number one. Number two, I have not watched that movie, but the anti-Semitic tropes that are in that book and that movie are long known in the Jewish world and the world of stereotypes. So when you say that it hurts in your own community, we know what stereotypes do. And the most important thing, Ernie, that I felt right away was that a tweet by a celebrity, by somebody who knows how to put a basketball through the net, which, believe me, I love more than anything, as we talked on my show a couple of months ago, that ends up right here in my community. And I want to tell you something that happened just last week, that we had kids in our school, in a Jewish school, going to their athletic event, and their coach, who was not Jewish, they were talking about actually not the Kyrie thing, but the Kanye thing.
Yeah.
And the coach told them, you know what? I agree with that. Number one, that coach is no longer employed by that athletic team, but those children were educated, thank God. And since they were educated, they could stand up for themselves. But if they were not educated with so many other millions of children in this country and world, then those kids might have gone right along with that coach, and there would have been more tweets and more Instagrams as well. So what starts on a basketball court ends up in our communities, ends up with the future of this country. And that's where the conversation needs to begin.
When you see white supremacists in LA holding up signs on the freeway saying Kanye is right, and then somebody imposing on the Georgia-Florida football game, again, Kanye is right, what do we need to do? I mean, because you first of all, you get mad. First of all, if somebody who's a white supremacist agree with you, you're like, I must be the biggest idiot in the world.
There might be a lot of idiots in the world then, right? But that sign on the 405 was just miles away from our synagogue. And just a couple of months ago, in our driveway, when I woke up, walking my kids to school, they're 10, 8, and 6 years old, there were pamphlets by the same people who hung those signs on the freeway that said those same anti-Semitic tropes. And when my children asked me what was that, I didn't have an answer for them. And so what has to be done is conversation. It's meeting the other. Ernie, what I love about you is that you often wear a shirt that says, be a better human.
Yeah.
Rich Eisen said just the other day, don't dehumanize me as a Jew. What I want to say to Rich Eisen and to all of us is let's humanize us as people. In the book of Genesis, it says in Hebrew, B'Tselem Elohim, we are made in the image of God. It is time for each one of us to see that image, who we are in our hearts and souls. That has to start now. It has to start young. And the reason that I love this show is because it has to start in the sports world. Sports and faith intersect in a very deep way. The only reason I know Ernie is because I had a love of sports, but I realized he had a love of faith. And that has brought so many people together. And I know it has the power to continue to do that as well.
You see anti-Semitism is on the rise. Mm-hmm. You see Asian hate is on the rise. And clearly we got some things going on in the Black community, especially with policing. You know, you just get so mad and frustrated. I do. I can't speak for anybody else, but, you know, like, I don't want my grandson, which is the greatest thing ever happened to me, I don't want him growing up and people treating him a type of way. And that's what bothers me about this whole thing. Guys who are in a position of power, repeating and tweeting, and we give these fools a platform. That's what probably pisses me off the most.
Somebody once told me that when you tweet for nobody, you tweet for everybody. And I think that's so true. I have a pulpit, but Kyrie Irving has a bigger pulpit than me. And Kanye West, I just looked this morning, has 31.7 million followers on Twitter. That's double the amount of Jews in the entire world. And so who is he tweeting for? Is it for nobody or is it for everybody? And so I think, and I truly believe and am passionate about this opportunity. One of the best things that I have done as a rabbi is not within my walls of this synagogue, but it has been connecting with one of my best friends who's a pastor at a mostly African-American church in Inglewood. And how do we come together? On the basketball court. We did a community camp for the LA Rams. Everything is sports oriented because at the end of the day, when riots happen, when police acts happen, I call him not as a fellow pastor, but I call him as a friend. And now he has called me. And so we have built a relationship that we might have differences in so many different ways. We serve so many different communities, but we are in the image of God. And we know that that is the end of the day.
If you were face to face with Kyrie Irving, what would you say?
I would say, come into my synagogue, meet my children, learn about us as a community. We have 3 gyms in this beautiful facility here. Play basketball with us. Teach our children what it means to be a human being in this great country of America. And then I think good things can happen.
I remember last year I said something about, on the podcast, I said, I did not like what Ice Cube said. I did not like what Nick Cannon said. And I told him, I said, yo, man, we as Black people, we know racism. We want people to have empathy. And they're not going to have empathy for us if we're insulting other religious groups. And that's the thing that bothers me most. I know it's tough being Black. I know it's tough being Jew. It's tough being any minority. But if minorities don't work together and just pick on each other, call each other's names, make these stupid stereotypes, we're never gonna heal. I mean, this stuff been going on for hundreds and hundreds of years. But when you throw gasoline, which is what you do when you say stuff like Kanye and KYRIE, when you throw gasoline on the fire, it's crazy.
So there's something called the dignity of difference. There's a rabbi in England of blessed memory, Jonathan Sacks. He was the chief rabbi of the United Kingdom. And he said that we need to appreciate the dignity of difference. That we, and he said this years ago, are at a clash of cultural civilizations, but faith can either be part of the problem or it can be part of the solution. And you're right. This is fire and fuel and gas to the fire. But we also have a chance. You know, fire works two ways. Fire can destroy, but fire can bring a lot of warmth to the community. And I believe that we have an opportunity. And Charles, I'm an optimist, hopefully, as you see. Believe me, I'm a realist as well. I know that there are deep, deep problems right now.
Rabbi, where has civility gone, and how do we get it back?
Honestly, I think these last 2 years, civility has been lost because of the lack of relationships. I'm talking to both